So you'll often hear the ACCC and then the subsequent media talk about a thing called a GIRD, G-I-R-D, which is the gross indicative retail difference. Now, to understand what a GIRD means, because it's often interpreted as being profit, and it's actually simply not. The gross indicative retail difference is the difference between the two major benchmarks that our industry reports to the community regularly. That is what we call the terminal gate price. That is, if I was to drive my truck up to a terminal and fill it up with fuel, I'm paying a wholesale price, and then I transport it to wherever I'm actually going. That's what we refer to as a wholesale price. That is reported daily, and it's required by Australian law to be disclosed to the market. Importantly to realise, it's not necessarily the actual buying price, it's a contract benchmark. Depending upon what I'm doing as a big or small fuel retailer, like any industry, I'll actually have some movement in that price, but it's the average benchmark that everyone puts out. The second one we use is the average retail price, which is effectively looking at the price across the country or the price in an individual market. And what I do is I record that average. Like anything though, at any point in time, the fuel retail price in a given market can vary by 10 to 15 cents a litre, excluding the effect of the price cycle. So it's an average. Rarely is anyone paying that average. They're paying below or above it, just like any normal average. So within that context, the GIRD is the subtraction between the average retail price and the average wholesale price. It is not profit, because in looking at that retail price, I've had the build-up of costs. So the same costs that go to running a service station and my profit are the factor in what we call the GIRD. Now, it's because of the nature of the market and the fact that pricing is incredibly complex and we've got all this variability, it is something that the ACCC uses, and it looks at how that varies over time. And what you would expect, if it's stretching and it's stretching faster than CPI or costs are moving, then you can make an assessment about, are we being taken for a bit of a ride by our fuel retailers? But interestingly, when you look at the history of ACCC reporting for the last 15 years, it's pretty well stayed the same. We're currently tracking at a GIRD of about 15 cents per litre. And it's interesting when you get to high points in time, such as we're seeing at the start of 2022, where we've actually got all sorts of pressures post-pandemic, conflict in Russia and Ukraine that's driving prices higher. Ironically, what tends to happen in the fuel industry is that fuel retailers, trying to keep that price as low as they can, tend to discount their GIRD. The most important thing to remember about GIRD is it's not just the retail costs. I mentioned that it's a benchmark between the price I pay driving my truck up to a refinery, but then I've got to transport it. So it's that cost of transport. If I'm wholesaling that into other markets, it's the wholesale cost that the wholesaler captures. So it's the wholesale, transport and retail costs from refinery to the service station pump. That's the difference. That's what GIRD is.